Well, hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today, we're jumping into some entitled parents. Our first story today comes to us from Oganesson. Entitled parent demands a different waiter because I stutter. Let's jump right in. About 2 years back, I worked as a waiter at a local restaurant. I was about 16 and, as mentioned, had a stutter. And add to that, a Romanian accent. I know a waiter probably wasn't my best option for a job, but the stutter didn't really cause many problems. Most people were very patient with me, and it never seemed to bother people, aside from a few people every once in a while that seemed a little annoyed. But one lady made a huge scene out of it. She looked like the typical Karen, middle-aged, blonde lady, and she had 3 children, all between like 5 and 10. The typical, I want to speak to your manager lady, and funny enough, we'll come back to that. She came in with her kids and her husband, and sat down at one of the tables that I was in charge of that night. I came over and asked if they'd like something to drink, stuttered on a word or two. Immediately, the torture begins. She gives me this confused, unimpressed look and no answer. This was my worst fear. I didn't want anyone to be mad at me for my stutter, so I just followed it with, "Sorry, I have a stutter." She said, "It's all right," in a pretty annoyed tone. They ordered their drinks and she rolled her eyes in the end as the cherry on top. I went back to get a table or two and their drinks, but couldn't get it out of my head. I tried not to let it bother me, but I always felt bad when I thought I was inconveniencing a customer. And at the time, I thought that's how people saw me, and that they were angry with me in their heads. For most of this story, I thought I was in the wrong. I came back with the drinks after stopping at 2 tables, and it seemed she was also upset that I was taking a while because as I was walking over, she said, "Finally." My heart was racing. I knew something bad was going to happen. We were about halfway through ordering when one of the kids wanted macaroni. Problem was, Entitled Mom said that last time he tried macaroni from this place, he didn't like it, so to get him something else. He couldn't decide on something else, so she yanked it out of his hands to order for him. She asked for chicken tenders, so I asked 5-piece or 3. 5 pieces, just whatever, just hurry. Of course, I was getting nervous, and that made it harder for me to speak. So when I turned to Entitled Dad, it took me even longer, and I was interrupted by Entitled Mom. "Oh my god, can you please go to your manager and get us a different waiter? Cause we're starving and we don't want to wait half a year for something anybody else could do in 2 minutes. Why would you even become a waiter if you can't speak?" he says, letting out an annoyed laugh and shaking his head. I had no idea how to respond. I was lost for words and felt like just leaving. But again, I thought this was all my problem, so I told them I'd see what I could do. I went to the manager and told him about it. He seemed pretty confused, but he said he was too busy to do anything and told me to see if one of my coworkers would take care of it. I went to my friend Dan, another waiter, and told him that one of my tables asked for a different waiter. He looked just as confused and said he couldn't do that at the moment because he was already working on 6 tables. He told me that if they're really upset, they'll leave. I tried going to the only other worker that day other than the cooks, but he was walking out the door when I saw him. I didn't know what to do, so I just took a few seconds to work up the courage to go over and tell them we couldn't do anything. As soon as Entitled Dad saw me walking over, he let out a frustrated, "Oh my gosh." I told them we were a little busy and I was the only one available. Entitled Mother told me quite quickly to bring over my manager. I went in and told him they wanted to talk to him, and he got up and I followed. I just stood there as my manager, Mr. Carlson, asked them, "Is there a problem?" "Yes, your worker here, he's taking forever and seems like he doesn't even care about it. We can barely understand him." "Well, what has he been doing?" "He's taking forever, and now he says he won't bring us a new waiter or even just speed it up a little. He doesn't even care about us." "Well, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you want me to do. It's pretty busy today. We're just trying to make sure everyone gets their food." "Gets their food? At this rate, we should have cooked our own legs and it would have been quicker." "Why would you have a worker like that out on a busy day like this?" "I'm sorry. There's just not much we can do." "What you should do is get us a different waiter, a normal one." "As I said, we're very busy. I can't do anything here. All the waiters are working right now." This is ridiculous. What kind of business makes their customers wait half an hour for food because the waiter doesn't know how to speak? Mr. Carlson turned to me and tells me to wait in the kitchen. I grabbed some dishes left over from a nearby table to take back with me. I didn't get the rest of that conversation. After I set the dishes in the sink, I walked to the back where nobody else was and just started crying. In my head, it was all my fault. I thought I was going to get fired and felt horrible. Dan overheard me and came in to talk to me and give me a hug. When I went back outside, Mr. Carlson and the entitled parents were arguing, and Mr. Carlson was telling them to leave. I started wiping down the table I just grabbed dishes from and caught them just at the right time to see them leave. Mr. Carlson told them he'd call the police if they didn't leave, and they finally got up and started leaving. Entitled Mother told me on her way out, "You need to get a job you can actually do." It cracked me again, and I started bawling. I couldn't speak or even think. Mr. Carlson gave me a hug and told me I could go home. I immediately went to my car and ended the day. I couldn't stop crying when I got back home. I felt like quitting. But I stayed there for another 2 months, I believe, and luckily, nothing ever came up as bad as that again. Now that I'm older, I realize how awful they were being and that I wasn't at fault here. I don't think anyone should be treated like they were treating me. Anyways, thanks for reading, and sorry for any grammar mistakes or something. English isn't my first language. Have a nice day. We try to do the best we can in front of extremely stupid people, but sometimes those stupid people can get the better of us. The best thing to do is turn around and walk away. Now, I understand that OP went to the manager once and the manager said they were too busy, but then when the customer was asking for a manager, they came right out. I think the manager could have done more in this situation back when OP first went to them. One of the biggest things about managing a place is managing your people, and if you have happy people, they'll do better work. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our second story today comes to us from Pesky Pikachu. Entitled parent lets toddler abuse my cat because it keeps them entertained. Let's jump right in. We went out of town and had a cat sitter. Not stay over, just 2 brief visits daily to make sure they got their food and some human interaction. While we were out, since one is medically fragile. While out, the cat sitter brought their child and spouse to hang out at our place to give their child, a toddler, a change of scenery. We were not aware that this was happening while we were out. But when the cat sitter came by to pick up something we had gotten them as a small thank you gift, in addition to payment, the spouse and toddler had also come and immediately showed themselves in. The spouse picked up the cat and sat down with the toddler, and allowed the toddler to pull the tail, squeeze the cat's neck, and pull at the fur on the cat's back. The cat meowed and got away from the adult who had been holding the cat, and the toddler started crying for the kitty to come back. I felt awful I didn't react sooner, but I was honestly kind of floored that they came in for what should just be a quick item pickup, and was also trying to make some small talk and give the item to the cat sitter. I picked up the cat and told the cat sitter spouse that it wasn't okay to do that to the cat, and the spouse got really demanding and defensive about how it was the only thing at our place that the toddler likes, since we don't have kids of our own or toys for kids to play with, and that the cat is young so it isn't a big deal, and that the toddler loves animals and it's hard to find ways for them to stay entertained. I reiterated that it's not okay to mistreat the animal that they were supposedly taking care of just to entertain a toddler who doesn't treat the cat gently. The spouse rolled their eyes, said I didn't understand because I wasn't a parent, got up and stood next to me, not aggressively, just holding out their hand to take the cat back. Meanwhile, the toddler is screaming and crying and wanting the kitty back. I didn't give the cat back to the spouse, but I did set the cat on a tower out of harm's way. And being a cat, of course, she immediately jumped down and ran over by where the toddler was, who then picked her up by the tail and swung her into the ground, and did not release the tail, the spouse had to. The cat ran back over to me and I put her in a different room. The spouse says, "See, I told you it was fine. The cat likes toddler, or else it wouldn't have come back over." The toddler starts crying and goes to the door of the room where the cat is and tries to get the door open and is saying, "Kitty, kitty." At this point, the actual cat sitter has received her thank you gift and is ready to go, so they scoop up the toddler and head out the door. The the spouse giving one last scoff before they leave as well. Time to find a new cat sitter. I don't understand why OP was being such a pushover here. If you're going to abuse my animal, I'm not going to give you a gift for looking after it. Get the heck out of my house and never come back again. And make sure you take your little crotch goblin with you. Our third story today comes to us from Witches Coven 99. Venom is not for children. Let's jump right in. Hey Reddit, this happened back in August of 2020. I was coming back from Budapest to London, England. So I was on a packed plane as other flights to England had been cancelled, thanks COVID, and thus was placed next to a mother and child. I was sat in the aisle seat, the mother, our entitled mother, in the middle, and her kid in the window seat. Before the actual entitlement begins, she asked if myself and her kid could swap places, as I originally had the window seat. I said sure, if she could take some photos of the outside for me when we took off. Not bad, eh? She took one blurred photo and passed me my phone back. Thanks. Ah well, I was getting ready to watch a movie on my phone, Venom, which I had not seen yet. I put my headphones in and began the movie, but after about 20 minutes, the mother and child swapped seats. So now the 7-year-old boy was sat next to me. Whatever, I paid no mind. If you haven't seen Venom yet, I would recommend because I was so engrossed in the film, I didn't notice our entitled child watching too. Remember, I had headphones in. It gets to a scene where Venom bit the head off of a bad guy when the mother taps my shoulder. I paused and took my headphone out. I've relived this every month since it happened, so this is word for word what she said. Excuse me, is that appropriate for children? No, sorry. This is like A15, I think. Ah, do you have anything appropriate for a child? No, sorry. I downloaded this off Netflix and can't use my internet. Right, she said. And I assumed that was the end of it. Nope. I went back to watching with my headphones and she taps me again. Aren't you going to turn this off? She asked about my movie. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very confrontational. Confrontation makes me giddy, but I was dead but shocked. No, I'm still gonna watch the movie I picked for my flight, I responded. Now the kid pipes up. Have you got any games I could play? No, because I'm watching a movie. Come on, he's bored, entitled mother said. Not my problem though, is it? Excuse me? Oh, now I had done it. It's not my problem that your child is bored. You should have planned ahead. I shrugged and put my headphones back on, pressed play, and resumed. Another 2 minutes passed, and once again, mother and child swapped places. Yes, the mother was now sat next to me. Yay! The movie came to an end, and there wasn't much time left on the short flight. I unlocked my phone and went into Spotify, so the mother probably thought I couldn't hear her, so she mumbled, "You could at least let my kid play a game now, you spiteful bee. How about you be effing grateful I let your kid look out the window the entire flight, you ungrateful C." Ooh. Ooh. You know that phrase, silence speaks volumes? Silence. I could hear her breathing. She made it a point to move next to me as much as possible to annoy me, but honestly, I could not stop laughing at her, which angered her further. Then, finally, we landed. I made sure to wait until everyone got off the plane before I got my luggage, just to live up to my petty nature. F you and your kid. Oh, Karen, when your kid grows up and you're wondering why they're such a dick, just look in the mirror, you might learn something. I honestly don't think that the kid is at fault here, so saying F you to the kid at the end doesn't really fit in for me. Our last story today comes to us from SatanFister0218. My sister and mother demand I watch the new baby 3 out of 7 days a week. Let's jump right in. My younger sister is pretty pregnant. For the last few weeks, she has been demanding that my SO and I babysit her newborn every weekend, Friday morning to Sunday evening, so she and her SO can have some cool-off time from being parents, to not overstress. Each time I have laughed at her and shut it down with a quick, "Nope, I won't be," and she gets mad I'm not helping her out. Yesterday, she got our mother involved. Mom called me and asked why I was being a self-centered bee and so selfish she didn't raise me this way. I told her I was a grown-butt woman with my own house and life, and that if I wanted to watch kids as a second job, I'd effing have some. She sputtered out something about me being a horrible person and hung up on me. My SO and my one aunt 100% is with me. However, my mom, dad, and the other 900 family members and friends they got involved are calling me out on Facebook and blowing up my phone. Quick edit for a few of the same comments coming up. My mom knows the full story of what my sister is asking. She essentially did the same thing with me when I was a bit older. She sees no issues with my sister getting this as well. I have never had a good relationship with my family. Besides 16 female aunt and grandparents, I talk to mom, sister, dad maybe twice a month. That story was posted over a month ago. OP posted a new update 4 days ago. It says, "Hey everyone, thank you so much for the support on my last post. Thought I'd share an update and answer some questions now that the baby is here." A lot of comments mentioned that our mother and sister probably spun some sort of tale about how I was just refusing to help period, not take over 45% of parenting, and well, no. Those who I spoke to knew the entire story. They agreed 2 21-year-olds need a break from parenting. Our mom did it with me, why shouldn't sister get the same courtesy? Whenever family and friends message me about babysitting or give me crap about it, my favorite response has been, "You're right. I am selfish, irresponsible, whatever, and probably not fit to take the baby this weekend. But I can be sure to let sister know you volunteered your time this week to help her out." Funnily enough, everyone seems to have some generic excuse as to why they can't or won't. "I worked all week, it's my wind down time. Not my child, not my responsibility, but somehow it's mine?" And my all-time favorite response, "It is your responsibility as the oldest to ensure your siblings don't make mistakes. And if they do, you take responsibility and don't let them ruin their lives over it. They're still kids who need to have fun. You had your turn." People of AITA and entitled parents, please take a moment and reread that last response. What would your reaction or response be? Baby has been here just under 2 weeks now, and my sister, her SO, and our mother have left multiple messages and voicemails about when they will drop baby off, their expectations for when I have the baby, routines, etc. Besides a quick, "not watching your baby this weekend," I have not answered or responded about it. My SO and I took some advice and invested in a doorbell camera and a few others around the house, and as most of you called it, my mother and sister attempted to drop baby off at my doorstep 6 days after it was born, knocked and tried to run. I spoke through the doorbell and told them they have exactly 2 minutes to pick baby back up or I was calling CPS for abandonment. My youngest sister called me about an hour afterwards, explaining our mother had attempted to leave the baby with her as well, but it only earned mom a dirty look, whilst younger sister simply stepped over the carrier and walked out of the house. She has been staying with us since. SO and I have spoken to younger sister to see how she would feel, and we have a meeting with our lawyer to see if we have any ground to stand on for sister to come and live with us permanently, as our parents are threatening to call the police on my SO and I for kidnapping and holding youngest sister as a hostage. Okay, before I forget this level of beautiful petty, our aunt, the only one who has supported us, surprised youngest sister, SO and I, and took us out to her cabin for the weekend, where youngest sister posted pictures and tagged our mother, sister, and her SO. Man, such an amazing weekend. Sure wish you guys were free to join. OP, I think you need to make that call to CPS regardless. I know it's a hard situation, but they tried to leave a 6-day-old child at your door and ding-dong ditch you. That's not normal parental behavior. I'm not saying this kid should be taken away and put in the system, but there needs to be some kind of monitoring in place because these parents aren't doing what parents normally do. Check out all 4 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.